What's up, everyone? I am gonna come back at y'all today with what are some of the retirement mistakes you will regret forever. And I'm just gonna go over this because not a lot of people talk about what happens in retirement and what mistakes you can make. And I didn't really make any of these mistakes. Uh, I did get tested a lot whenever I started this retirement. And one of them is relocating on a whim. You know, I know a lot of people that retire and then they move to Florida and move to another location. Now, before I go into all that, I'm going to say this. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is a disclaimer. You know, you need to go talk to a financial advisor if you want to make sure you don't lose any money. And make sure you don't mess up. So please talk to a financial advisor. So relocating on a whim. Some people think that moving to Florida without going to Florida is a good idea. They see pictures and says, "Oh, it's awesome to retire over there," because they see it on images, videos, and they might visit one time, two times, but they didn't test the water. And that's horrible because you might find out you might not like gators. You might not like, hey, yeah, I can't really walk my dog by the water because an alligator might come and get it. You might say, oh, I have family that lives in, let's say, Louisiana, but you're not used to the hurricanes. You love it there because you went to New Orleans a couple of times, say, oh, this is a good, fun place, but you don't see the underside of New Orleans. I walked up and down the street in New Orleans night and day, and people don't understand. It's really not that safe. I saw people get mugged. People are selling drugs over there on the streets, and this is almost everywhere. And you just kind of ignore it because you can call the cops, but someone will just replace them. And that's the realistic. You don't know the area until you live there for a little bit. You know, Number two is falling for too good to be true offers. What I mean, you know how many times I get a call and say, "Hey, I got this deal that can, if you use your retirement account, you can 10x your money." Doesn't that sound familiar? I can 10x your money. I can use your social security money to do this, and you can now live a lavish lifestyle. Well, let's be truthful to yourself. It's a scam. If it sounds too good to be true, it's most likely a scam. And even if you look at reviews, complaints, and all this stuff on Google search engines, it could be all fake. So you can't trust everything on the internet because people make fake information all the time on Google. I see it all the time. I'm one of those people that luckily is 100% verified on Google. And there's nothing on Google that's not true about me that I found out because I've talked to Google myself and did a number run. And I'm 100% accurate. Not many people can do that. And that's for my company and that's for me. Now, number three is planning to work indefinitely. You know, many baby boomers, plan to keep working beyond 65 so they can maximize their social security. Well, let's be honest, 19% adult age 65 and or actually are employed, and that's 28% of baby boomer on the survey in Transamerica for, and they just keep working, and after they work, they don't know what to do because that's all they have planned. So they just plan to keep working, and that's not a good plan to retire off of. That's a horrible time. And I go over this is because people plan to work indefinite. They can't work at their typical 9 to 5 job because they did it too long, and then they're not relevant no more. And so they go work at freaking McDonald's. They go work at um, Walmart, and that's to pass up their time. And because they can't afford to live in your golden age, you should be, traveling a little bit, having fun with your life, enjoying the money you put away. And number four is putting off saving for retirement is a big retirement mistake. They people wait until 40, 50. You don't know how many people I met in the 40, 50, and they say, "Hey, I didn't start saving. I don't know what to do." And I just look at them and tell them, "Hey, did you know that, by according to Morningstar calculations, that if you get 7% returns and you're trying to build a $1 million nest egg, you only at if you start at age 25, it's like $381 a month. If you start at 35, it's 820 a month to get $1 million in the account. Now, if you do it at 45, it's almost $2,000 a month you have to save. So if it's almost $2,000, what would be 55? $6,000 a month. I don't know many 60, 55-year-old that even can put away $4,000 a month. So if you're 55 and you're trying to do retirement, it's gonna be hard, real hard. Now, the other issue people in retirement have is they claim Social Security too early. Um, if you didn't know, the longer you wait to claim Social Security, the more beneficial you have. If you wait until you're 67, you get 100% of your benefit. And if you wait to 62, you pretty much reduce it by 30%. And it's not really something you need to worry about right now, but in the future, if you try to retire early and you mess up your Social Security, well, you shouldn't worry about Social Security. Well, you shouldn't worry about Social Security, but the other thing is, it is a benefit that's a possibility. So you should always keep that in the concern. So if you quit working and retire early, your Social Security will drop. And is that a good thing? Not really, because if you shouldn't be relying on it, but extra money in retirement is not a bad thing. And number six, that I see people make a mistake, they borrow from their 401k. Like, hey man, I'm gonna retire early, or I'm gonna retire. Oh, I need money. I'm just gonna borrow money from my 401k. There's plenty of people on YouTube that says, hey, instead of just taking your money out, just borrow it. Well, then you're paying investment on your Fidelity account or whatever. Now you're paying interest on your money. Does that make sense? If you didn't save enough for your medical emergency or medical expenses in a health saving account like I did, then hey, maybe go back to work and save enough for, or maybe not retire. Because it is extremely hard to get health insurance whenever you're individual or you're doing it by yourself, because it's very expensive. Health insurance in America is not cheap. And you can only do so much without health insurance. This is true. You can do everything cash, everything's cheaper, but what are you going to do whenever you run out of cash? Go back to work? Because you don't know what's going to happen, especially if you're trying to retire early. This is why I tell people, fat fire and lean fire are cool, but if you're going to do fat fire, you need upwards of over 10 million to even be considered in that fat fire range. And that's liquid cash. That's where you can make, 4% on your money. So you can get 400 or $1 million a year, or whatever number you decide. It's up to you. Now, it is very heartening, but number 7 is putting your kids first in retirement. I don't know how many people out here that they take all their retirement money to invest in their kids' college, and then their kids don't help them back. And they're like, oh, I can't afford it because I started my own family. At the end of the day, you can't rely on your own children in America. to take care of you, because most likely they won't. They're just going to try to put you in a retirement home. And I see people do that to the baby boomers right now. They whenever I sit there in YouTube talking to the not YouTube but Uber and all that stuff, talking to these people who retired, and they say, "Oh, I had to go do this because my kid doesn't want to work, and I paid 100, 200,000 for their education. They're just sitting at my house doing nothing." Yeah, it happens. So don't do it. And number eight is buying into timeshare. Timeshare is the worst thing I ever seen. You can't get out of it. You always get charged, and you're going to end up in the worst position. And there's nothing you can do about it. If you are in a timeshare, it might cost you more to get out of it than keeping it. And that's the reality of it. Don't do timeshare. There's a bunch in Hawaii, there's a bunch in Florida, and there's a bunch everywhere. But it's not worth it. It really isn't. Because it doesn't work out as planned. And then num the next one, number eight, is borrowing against your home. You work so hard to pay off your house or get out of debt. Don't borrow against your house, because the HELOC is not worth it. I made this mistake. It happens, but at the end of the day, don't use a HELOC. It's not worth it. Just save up the money. You know, luckily mine went to some renovation, but mine was before I retire. So it's a mistake that I should never have done, but hey, I done it, and I'll just get out of it. That's just how life works. But there's so many different things that can get you in trouble in retirement, and those are just some of the key ones I want to go over with. But retirement, you can make so much mistake to take you out of retirement. So watch out for those scams. Watch out for people who are trying to screw you over. And then you have to make sure you watch your money, because if you're retiring and you're in a later age, you might not be able to get a job, because as you get older and longer out of the career field, it gets harder and harder to get a job. So I just, pretty much decide, hey, why get out of the work field whenever I can just find a job that I like in the same field? Just leave a company, as I don't think robotics in medical field is gonna make any more advancement for the next 5 or 10 years. So I didn't think it was worth staying in robotics. Why? Let's be honest. The There's only so much they can do without more research, and they kind of tapped out already. If you don't know about it, hey, just do some research and see how far robotics got in the medical field, and you will see that it's not moving very fast, and it's not going to make advancements as people think. They pretty much tapped out at the max capability, and now you're going to see all a bunch of companies coming up with the exact same thing. They're going to do the exact same thing as the other one. It's just they're going to put their own spin on it. That's the same thing what they did with other devices in the medical field. So it's not really going to be innovating in that part. I think the next innovation for medical is going to be their image qualities to improve it and make it more affordable, or make it diagnose better. That's where I think the medical field's going. I don't really think it's going to go too heavy in robotics, because they need better images, to be honest. I worked at a few companies, and that's what it seems like. But please like and subscribe. I can go over more about the medical field and what I think the technology it's going to be at, but that's not what my channel is about. It's about finance and business. So thanks. Please like and subscribe.